and welcome to The World Today. I'm Amarachi Ubani. Here's what's coming up on the program. Israeli strikes hit Gaza City as the IDF prepares for Netanyahu's expansion plan. A BBC report says thousands of North Koreans are sent to work in slave-like conditions in Russia. Plus, at least 40 people are killed in an attack on a camp in Sudan's Darfur region. Let's begin The World Today. We're learning Gaza City has been under attack by Israeli forces. The residential areas of Zaytun and Sabra hit continuously over the past 3 days. Residents are said to be unable to recover the dead and injured. The Hamas-run health ministry in Gaza says 100 bodies had been brought to hospitals across Gaza over the past 24 hours, including 31 people who were killed at 8 sites. Israel has faced mounting criticism over the 22-month-long war with Hamas, with UN-backed experts warning of widespread famine unfolding in the besieged territory. In the meantime, the Israeli War Cabinet voted on Monday to occupy Gaza City, a move condemned at an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council later in the day. Earlier today, the Israeli Defense Forces said it was at the beginning of a new state of combat. The Israeli government has not provided an exact timetable on when its forces would enter the area. On Sunday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said Israel's forces had been instructed to dismantle the 2 remaining Hamas strongholds in Gaza City and a central area around al-Mawasi. The Israeli government continues to defend its military expansion into Gaza as the only solution to defeating Hamas. The country's Deputy Foreign Minister Sharon Haskell reiterated this position on Channel Television's morning program, Morning Brief, today. Regarding the killing of civilians, she says the IDF ensures that text messages are sent to residents in Gaza, informing them of strikes in intended areas before the attacks. Hamas has been taking advantage of this, she says, to make sure civilians are killed to put Israel in bad light.
Our government decided to take the only option that is left, and it is to continue a full military campaign to liberate Gaza from Hamas and to bring back our hostages. I hope this military campaign will start in the next couple of weeks because our hostages don't have a lot of time left. Seeing those images, understanding their conditions, and so we will go in with our army, we will liberate the hostages, and hopefully we will be able to disarm Hamas as quickly as possible. We send text messages, we drop leaflets, we make phone calls to civilians in areas before the IDF, our army, is going in to make sure that they evacuate and that the only ones left are Hamas. Does Hamas get those warnings as well and sometimes make our work a lot harder? Yes, but in order to try and avoid civilian casualties, we do that.
In the meantime, the UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres has condemned the killing of 6 journalists in airstrikes in Gaza on Sunday. His spokesperson, Stefan Dujarric, addressed a press conference where he spoke on the issue. He called for an independent and impartial investigation into the incident, adding that at least 242 journalists have been killed in Gaza since the war began. Al Jazeera has confirmed the deaths of the journalists in the attacks.
I can tell you that the Secretary-General condemns the killing of the 6 Palestinian journalists in an Israeli airstrike in Gaza City on August 10th. These latest killings highlight the extreme risks that journalists continue to face when covering this ongoing conflict. The Secretary-General calls for an independent and impartial investigation into these latest killings. At least 242 journalists have been killed in Gaza since the war began. Journalists and media workers must be respected, they must be protected, and they must be allowed to carry out their work freely, free from fear and free from harassment. Accountability tragically takes time, especially in conflict, but accountability needs to happen. We've seen it in other recent conflicts where it sometimes takes a long time to find accountability. How such an investigation will take place in the middle of a conflict is difficult to say, but there are various options, but there will need to be accountability for what happened. I think we leave it to you and other journalists to comment and analyze what the Security Council has been doing, what the General Assembly has been doing, what the Human Rights Council has been doing, and what the Secretary General has been doing. I think the Secretary General has been very much engaged. The whole UN Secretariat system and the funds and programs and agencies and our colleagues who remain on the ground, our Palestinian colleagues who remain on the ground, our international colleagues who remain on the ground, have been dedicated to trying to help the people of Gaza.
And in the United States Capitol, pro-Palestinian activists gathered outside the headquarters of several media outlets on Monday to hold a vigil for the journalists killed in Gaza. During the event, activist Hazami Barmada delivered a final message posted by Al Sharif, honoring the journalist and his parting wish to entrust the world with Palestine and his loved ones. Meanwhile, Palestinian activist Sumar Mubarak described him as a comrade in war and genocide.
I have lived through pain in all its details, tasted suffering and loss many times, and yet never once hesitated to convey the truth as it is. I entrust you with Palestine, the jewel of the crown of the Muslim world, the heartbeat of every free person in this world. I entrust you with its people, with its wronged and innocent children who never had the time to dream or live in safety and peace. I entrust you with my beloved daughter, Shem, the light of my eyes, whom I never got the chance to watch grow up.
Enes was martyred. My fellow comrade on this path was martyred. The comrade in war and genocide. I mean, one is unable to express the amount of abandonment and amount of pain that have afflicted us in this genocide because of you, because of the whole world who saw and knew what is happening to us from October 7th until today.
Now, ahead of U.S. President Donald Trump's meeting with the Russian President Vladimir Putin, European leaders have warned against Ukrainian borders being withdrawn by force. They released a statement today saying the people of Ukraine must have the freedom to decide their future, adding the principles of territorial integrity must be respected and international borders must not be changed by force. It was signed by 26 of 27 leaders, with the exemption of the Hungarian President Viktor Orban, who has maintained friendly relations with Russia and has repeatedly tried to block European Union support for Ukraine. The U.S. president has insisted any peace deal would involve some swapping of territories and could see Russia taking the entire Donbas region in eastern Ukraine and keeping Crimea. In exchange, it could give up the Kherson and Zaporizhia regions, which it partially occupies. Last week, while admitting that some Ukrainian territory might end up being de facto controlled by Russia, NATO chief Mark Rutte stressed that this should not be formally recognized. As for his upcoming meeting with the Russian president, the U.S. President Donald Trump says the U.S. press will be the first to know what transpires at the meeting this Friday in Alaska. While President Trump says he's going to Russia for talks, both leaders are set to meet in Alaska in the U.S.
It's going to be a big thing. We're going to Russia. That's going to be a big deal. What happens, happens. I'll let you know what happens. You'll be the first to know. I'll be calling the European leaders. I'm going with totally, I mean, we have a lot of talks. They're great people. They're great leaders, actually, and they want to get back. Honestly, as one of them said, I've OD'd on trying to settle Ukraine. They've OD'd, meaning they've overdosed on the settlement of Ukraine. Not a nice expression, but boy, is it accurate. They're tired of it. They want to get back to spending money on their countries. You know, Biden gave them $350 billion. Europe gave $100 billion. it should be much more than that. Shouldn't have been that kind of, they should have had equalization, but they didn't. But you know what? Still a lot of money. They want to get back to building their own countries. They really want it resolved. My relationship with the European leaders, as you saw, is extremely good. It's perfect. It's beautiful. Wait. And we're going to try. I'll be in touch with them. I have 5 of them call me. You think it's easy? There are a lot of European leaders, but they rely on me. Very much rely on me. If it wasn't for me, this thing would never get solved until the last person breathing is dead.
Would you talk to them before?
Yeah, I did. I'm talking to them right now. So I'm talking to the European leaders. I'll be talking to President Zelensky. I'm going to get everybody's ideas. I go into that thing fully loaded right up there, and we're going to see what happens. Now, I think one of 2 things is going to happen. It's going to be a good meeting, and we'll go a step further. We'll get it done. I'd like to see a ceasefire very, very quickly. Very quick. I'd like to see it immediately, but I'd like to see it very quickly. And we're going to be dealing with the European leaders, and we're going to be dealing with President Zelensky, and hopefully we're going to have a great success.
A new BBC report says thousands of North Koreans are being sent to Russia to fill a huge labor shortage exacerbated by the ongoing invasion of Ukraine. I mean, it sounds great to be working abroad, but they're reportedly working in slave-like conditions. The report is drawn from the BBC in an interview with 6 North Korean workers who have fled Russia since the start of the war, along with the South Korean government officials, researchers, and those helping to rescue the laborers. The men tell about how they're subjected to abysmal working conditions and how the North Korean authorities are tightening their control over the workers to stop them escaping. One of the workers told the BBC that when he landed in Russia's Far East, he was chaperoned from the airport to a construction site by a North Korean security agent who ordered him not to talk to anyone or look at anything. All 6 workers that they spoke to described the same punishing work days, waking up at 6 in the morning and being forced to build high-rise apartments until 2 a.m. the next day, with just 2 days off in a year. I'll make a brief stopover in Sudan, where at least 40 people have been killed in an attack on a camp for displaced people in the western Darfur region. Aid group Abu Shol Emergency Response Room says the assault, which happened on Monday, was carried out by the Rapid Support Forces. Sudanese media reported that the camp was caught in the crossfire of the fighting in El Fasher. But the aid group inside Abu Shuk, where at least 200,000 people live, said some of those killed in the attack were shot in their homes, while others were gunned down in public. A US-based organization that analyzes satellite imagery and videos said it identified a large group of 40 light vehicles in the northwest neighborhoods of the camp, which appear to corroborate reports that the attack came from the north. The Yale Humanitarian Research Lab added it was investigating images and videos allegedly showing RSF shooting at people, crawling away from them, and berating and using ethnic slurs. We're off on a short break now on The World Today. Still ahead. Well, what I ordered versus what I got, some of the ugliest items sold on a Chinese online shopping platform. They're all on display at the Ugly Things Museum. Stay with us. Welcome back. India is yet to recover at least 66 people said to have gone missing following flash floods in Uttarakhand state last week. Authorities say only 1 body has so far been recovered, revising an earlier death toll of 4. Nearly half of Darala village was submerged on August 5 in a mudslide caused by heavy rains and flash floods. An army camp nearby also suffered extensive damage. Rescue operations are continuing at the site of the disaster as workers search for missing people. The work has been affected by inclement weather and the blockage of a key highway near the site due to the mudslide. Weeks of heavy rain have pounded Utakarand, with Utakarish region a home to Darali village among the worst hit by the flooding. The UN says the safety and security of the maritime sector is fundamental to economic stability, sustainable maritime development, and to livelihoods. Secretary General of the International Maritime Organization, the IMO, Arsenio Dominguez, was speaking at a high-level debate at the UN on Monday. At that meeting, titled Maritime Security, Prevention, Innovation, and International Cooperation to Address Emerging Challenges, was chaired by Panamanian President José Raúl Molino as the signature event of Panama's August presidency of the Council.
Traditional maritime threats like piracy and armed robbery remain deeply rooted and in some regions are surging. This is particularly concerning in Southeast Asia, where we are seeing a sharp increase in such attacks, from the Gulf of Guinea and Singapore Straits to the Red Sea and Somali coast. These threats continue to endanger lives and disrupt critical maritime corridors, with far-reaching consequences for regional stability and global supply chains. We also continue to see the crime-terror nexus play out at sea, where groups are tapping into criminal supply chains, moving weapons, operatives, and illicit goods to finance their activities. These trends point to a broader shift. What were once isolated offenses have evolved into converging maritime threats, carried out through the same command structures, routes, and financial flows. At the same time, we are seeing new and less visible dangers. As ports go digital with automated vessel management, cargo tracking, and logistics, vulnerabilities are emerging faster than they can be secured. Ports are facing a wave of cyber intrusions, targeting the power, communication, and logistics systems they rely on. Cybercriminals can weaponize artificial intelligence to attack with greater speed, scale, and precision. Many ports are appealing targets.
We move to Zimbabwe now, where President Emmerson Mnangagwa has lashed out at what he calls neocolonialism, saying it would never, never, never be given a foothold in the country. He was saying this at the 45th Heroes Day at the National Heroes Acre in Harare on Monday. The ceremony included wreath-laying at the tomb of the unknown soldier and the presentation of awards and honors. Mnangagwa also spoke about the government's reform programs and their impact on the economy, adding that Zimbabwe had submitted its bid for a non-permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council for 2027 to 2028.
This 45th Heroes Anniversary allows us to once again take stock of the strides we are making to realize the yesteryear goals that so many departed and living heroes and heroines waged the protracted armed struggle. We are masters of our own destiny. We are a proud, independent, sovereign and empowered African people. Neo-colonialism will never, never, never be given a foothold in our motherland, Zimbabwe. The multi-pronged reform programs implemented under the Second Republic are having positive and evident impacts to the economy as well as the quality of life of our citizens. Despite challenges characterized by the effects of the illegal sanctions imposed by the West, We thus celebrate farmers and stakeholders in the agricultural sector who continue to be worth custodians of the land which our heroes and heroines paid for with their precious blood. Our heroes would definitely be proud of the positive strides which our farmers are making. Zimbabwe has submitted its bid for a non-permanent seat in the United Nations Security Council for the period 2027 to 2028. Additionally, we have reinforced our country's commitment to global peace and security by becoming a founding member of the International Organization for Mediation. Later this week, Zimbabwe will be handing over the chairmanship of SADC to the Republic of Madagascar. This follows our successful term which ran under the theme promoting innovation to unlock opportunities for sustained economic growth and development towards an industrialized SADC. We have achieved this as Zimbabwe.
Looking at the streets and national monuments in Lahore, Pakistan, decorated in green and white, the colors of the national flag, as preparations are in full swing ahead of the Independence Day on August 14. National flags are flying high over buildings, which have been illuminated along the roads of the city since Monday. Pakistan's Independence Day commemorates the end of the British rule in 1947 and the partition of Pakistan and India. Festivals and celebrations are held annually across the country. And as we end the program, the highly anticipated Ugly Things exhibition featuring over 100 of the ugliest items sold on Taobao, a major online shopping platform, is currently underway in Hangzhou's Tianmu Li Art Park that's in China. Visitors have been exploring a wall adorned with 150 felted animal sculptures arranged like biological specimens in glass jars and a mountain of ugly cat pillows. Visitors can also be seen looking at mirrors attached with extraordinarily unusual outfits. To engage younger audiences who comprise the majority of online shoppers, Taobao launched the imaginative Taobao Uglies Award campaign back in 2020, shining a spotlight on the most bizarre and meme-worthy products available on the platform. The Era of Uglies exhibition is boldly absurd and widely popular. Drawing a dedicated audience, it offers an immersive experience that blurs the boundaries between commerce, art, and social commentary. Running from July 29 to August 15, the show highlights these selected ugliest items, which will also participate in the Taobao Uglies Award for 2025. Not sure I really saw anything ugly in there. But thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani.